Good morning, stars. It's your boy Z, aka the Lava Tyrant, and welcome back to my channel, and also to the first proper video of 2026. Last month, I made a video where I turned the beasts from Cookie Run Kingdom into Pokemon, and that video was extremely well received by you guys to the degree where it got the channel to 2,000 subscribers, which is truly crazy. So, to show my gratitude for reaching this milestone, I'm gonna do what I never did with my FNAF video and actually make a proper sequel. The fun thing is, I'm a huge fan of CRK, and so I'm truly glad that so many people watching find it equally charming. There is a vast array of cookies that have major potential of being adapted as a Pokemon, and your support is something I'm gonna use as an excuse to do just that. For today's video, I took upon the task of turning the legendary cookies into legendary Pokemon, but with a twist, so stick around to see what that is. The Guardians of Nature seem the perfect next step, following the Ultra Beasts, and so, without any further ado, like, subscribe, and let's not waste this millennial moment and jump right in. With our first one of the day being Black Pearl Cookie, so while Black Pearl Cookie isn't really a guardian of nature, I just prefer her over Fairy, when it comes to the design, and so for the Pokemon I actually kind of fuse the two to serve the same purpose. As such, say hello to Vipearl. Design-wise, I suppose a sea serpent isn't anything particularly special, but Vipearl is also based on the serpent often seen in the mythical trope of Chaos Conf, which is too complicated for me to go into here. We actually designed this and another mon later in this video live for Eltimus, so if you were there, you would know a little bit more about the concept, but regardless, here is Vipearl, the Black Pearl Pokemon. Vipearl is a Pokemon of legend often called the Fairy of the Seas. It is said that it was once a beautiful denizen of the waves whose radiance faded. However, it was later gifted dominion over the waters of the world. A ship's encounter with Vipearl is often considered as a sign of turbulent voyages to come. The shiny takes inspiration from Black Pearl's Faded Radiance costume. Lore-wise, I'm unsure what effect this Pokemon would have on Kyogre's status, but I'm sure that Sleepyhead won't mind sharing the seas for a little bit. Also, it took me literal ages to figure out how to do the sparkles, but I'm really glad I did, cause the result turned out great. The Black Pearl enthusiast in me is very pleased. And with that said, let's now move on to Moonlight Cookie. I actually immediately got a chance to reuse the way I did the sparkles for BPC for this one. For Moonlight Cookie, I took inspiration from the Baku, a yokai from Japanese myth that eats dreams, which honestly seemed like a fitting mythical addition to the design, alongside of course adding a lunar aesthetic. On paper, as a sketch, this was my least favorite design, but it actually ended up being one of my favorites of the video after the rendering, and so I present to you Amavaku, the Moonlight Pokemon. Amavaku are said to be closely tied to the Sinnohan legends of Darkrai and Cresselia. She is said to reside among the stars, awaiting in slumber for her brother's return. According to historians, many ancient scholars consider Amavaku as their muse for magical inquiry. Amavaku's shiny is, of course, a reference to the Final Dream costume from CRK, going mainly black and white and ridding itself of all saturation. And yes, the dex does indeed hint at Stardust Cookie, who I could possibly design in the future. Now, you may have picked up on something for this design, that being the fact that it's vaguely familiar to an existing Pokemon. And, well, it's time to come clean, as that connection is only further strengthened with the next mon, based on Wind Archer Cookie, who I have turned into an archer bird, just like Decidueye. So it is time to reveal the true nature of these Guardians of Nature, because in fact, they aren't entirely new Pokemon, but instead legendary forms of existing Pokemon. I thought this was a very neat concept, which we have only really seen with the Legendary Beasts, and more recently, the Loyal 3, and so had room for exploration. As for the last two, Vipearl is a legendary form of Milotic, and Amavaku is a legendary form of Musharna. The origin of these powerful forms will be explained soon enough, but until we get to that, here is Zephyralba, the Wind Archer Pokemon. It is said that the winds that blow in the forest wilds are caused by Zephyralba practicing archery. It calls the forests its home and acts as its divine defender. In ancient times, its insignia was utilized as a symbol for messengers. The shiny of Zephyralba is not specifically based on a costume and is instead based on autumnal leaves. Zephyralba is also another mon designed live in the same stream as the one where I did Fipearl, so feel free to check out the VOD. With that said, however, 2 more legendaries remain, but before we get to them, I wanted to use this section to further talk about my future plans about CRK as Pokemon. Because I have started with the legendaries and mythicals, and because of the great reception from the general audience, and also my own personal obsession with CRK, I'm in the early stages of conceiving a proper mini-region for CRK and making a complete dex for it. This would include new starters, Route 1s, characters, champions, and more. Since Mahagari is effectively on hiatus right now, and since Sansamar is a more spontaneous region, this has the potential of becoming a major series for the time being. But that all depends on whether you, the viewers, want this, and so if you do, make sure to like, subscribe, hype this video if you can, I hear that's a thing now, and comment down below your thoughts about this, and what cookies you would like to see me turn into Pokemon. Also, make sure to join the official Discord. I'm not really active on any social media or anywhere other than Discord, so it's definitely the place to find me, and is also the hub for all things LT. With that said, let's now talk about the next legendary, based on Fire Spirit Cookie. The cookie with male pattern baldness, and also the cookie who has eluded my gacha pulls up until very recently. Same as the ones prior, this design is also meant to be a legendary variant of an existing Pokemon, which in this case is Salandit. The design itself also takes further design cues from just general fire god iconography and that of the mythical Salamander, which works well with Fire Spirit, given his draconic origins, and also those fire dragon things he summons in-game. Any person who plays CRK Arena knows exactly what I mean. Anyways, here is Pyrodella, the Fire Spirit Pokemon. Pyrodella is a chaotic Pokemon that calls the volcanoes its home. Unlike the other Guardians of Crispia, Pyrodella is said to be full of arrogance, and as such, its power is feared by most. However, legends speak of an older time, when in its prime, Pyrodella defended the lands from all threats. This one's shiny is inspired by just blue. Yeah, this is one of those designs that we have every so often where Lava Tyrant has no clue what the shiny thought process was. Regardless, that concludes the 4 Guardians, which of course leaves us only one legendary for this video, the one who gave these cookies their powers. It's of course none other than Millennial Tree Cookie. This one is basically the Quartet Master, and as such, unlike its fellow Guardians, it is not a legendary form, but instead its own legendary. For the sake of simplicity, we will ignore the various other sources of power for the Guardians, and say that for their fakemon counterparts, their elemental domains were gifts from this guy. As for the secondary inspiration, I went with the 4 stags or hearts of Yggdrasil. While yes, the legendary is singular unlike the 4 hearts, it fit well with the lore I built for this mon, given the 4 hearts are theorized to be connected to the 4 elements, the seasons, or the phases of the moon, all of which clearly match up with the 4 quartet members. But in case that wasn't enough, I also made sure major visual aspects of the design came in 4s. Anyways, with all that said, I present to you Hotmeleer, the Millennial Tree Pokemon. Hotmeleer is revered as a keeper of balance across the vast regions of the world. It is said to reside in a secret grove where it slumbers. Legends say that when evil threatens the world and the powers of other legendaries fall short, Hotmeleer will rise to aid good. The shiny started off as autumnal colors, but I quickly changed that to more red, as hypothetically, if these mons were to be part of their own region, again, if you want to see that, like and subscribe, I can see Hotmeleer being one of the box art legendaries of, for the sake of argument, let's say Pokemon Cookies and Cream, and on the other side would be a box art legendary based on Dark Enchantress Cookie. And so, with that in mind, I made it so that the shinies would be the reflections of the opposing legends. I hope that makes sense, but in theory, whenever or if I end up making a Dark Enchantress cookie Pokemon, it would have a shiny that looks like Millennial Tree. However, with that said, that is all for this one. I hope you all enjoyed my interpretations of the Guardians of Nature from CRK's Pokemon. If you did, like, subscribe, and do all that fancy stuff that comes with it. Like I said before, the more support this gets, the likelier it is in becoming a full-fledged region. Along with that, make sure to also check out my other 2 regions and my very own graphic novel project. Links will be given down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. Till then, peace. A yokai from Japanese myth that eats dreams, which honestly seemed like a fitting... What? Fitting? What? What?